heard you say in some interviews after your Hall of Fame induction that you weren't going to fight for another company, and
yeah, yep.
What happened to change your mind? Probably money, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just after I do interviews, if there was one guy you always wanted to fight and never got a chance to, who would it be? It was, well, Tito. You know, even when I first talked to Bellator, they were like, "We're interested in you fight." No, I'm not interested. Like, I'm not interested. I'm done. And then, well, we might need to fight Tito. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I always wanted to fight him. You know, and I thought too, you know, Tito, he's so dumb. He goes around, he used to be the Huntington Beach bad boy, but he turns himself babyface, and now he's the people's champ, and he's such a jerk too. Everyone that really knows him he stiffs everyone and not pays them and screws people over and backstabs, and I mean, yeah.
Like training partners? Yeah,
coaches, training partners, managers, it's the same story, you know, he's a selfish asshole. And I've heard it from so many people's mouths. So, and now he's going around trying to cram himself as a babyface down everyone's throat. Like, it was like my perfect chance to turn heel, you know. And finally, I'm finding, before that, I never really fought a guy I didn't like, you know. And finally, I'm fighting someone who is a legitimate jerk. I know firsthand from a ton of people that he's screwed over, what an asshole he is. I never liked him. I always thought he just had a huge ego. Every time he loses, he blames it on all the injuries, and it's just a jerk. So it's like, wow, now I could turn heel, like, let everyone know how I feel about him, and it'll be the perfect thing to blow this fight up. When I went into Bellator, they were all about, Coker had just come in there, and they needed something that's going to move the needle. They needed Bellator to get over, really. And I said, all right, well, you give me this fight with Tito, then watch, I'll move the fucking needle, And I did. It was like they went head to head with the UFC heavyweight title fight that night, and we crushed them. It was the most watched fight of 2014. So we delivered, and I went in there, and they said if I move the needle, and which I did, they were going to give me TV work and commentating, and I believed them, so I'm like, I didn't think, because Spike TV likes me, obviously I helped them out a lot, and, Bellator told me everything I wanted to hear about that, and I knew, as far as the UFC went, Dana said, serve your suspension, then we'll talk, and, I did, and he still, didn't, he wasn't letting me back on the team. I was hoping I could go back to work for him, but that wasn't happening. I'm like, fuck, why should I sit around here and be loyal if, my suspension's up? He said he'd be open to talk after I served it. I do, not giving me anything. What am I going to do? Just sit around and wait for the UFC? Or here's Bellator offering me, TV work and commentating and main event fight, and if I move the needle, then they'll reward me with that stuff. And I thought, fuck it, I never liked Tito. I'll get people to tune in. I'll turn heel because he's, trying so hard to be a babyface that it'll work. People will want to watch it. And it was so oh man, when people
what was your idea, the wrestling style confrontation?
Well, yeah, the heel turn. I was with McCoy, and it was his idea to come in a mask, and then surprise him. He's not gonna. And that whole fight card, I met all these people. I meet Coker for the first time, and McCulley's sitting next to me in a mask, and Coker looks all worried. And I'm like, don't worry, Scott. Just trust me, I got this. And that was the plan. I just rip into Tito. I end with a comment on Jenna. He takes the mic. He stumbles on his words. He gets frustrated, and he attacks me. Worked out perfectly. What if he came back with something witty and didn't attack me? It wouldn't have worked. So it really worked beautifully. And hey, there was a couple of great fights that night. There was a UFC that night, but all anyone was talking about was the fucking heel turn promo the next week. And a lot of people didn't like it, but you're talking about it, and it worked. So.
What was the biggest difference between dealing with Bellator as a company and dealing with UFC?
Bellator just let me do what I wanted. It was I couldn't believe it. Even like I get the call from my manager, what do you want for your entrance music? And a buddy of mine had just showed me that Stitches video of, you know, the brick in your face. I put that brick in your face. What you gonna do with I love selling blow? I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like the guy has, this is the Stitches for Snitches tattoos up here, AK-47s. Just looks like all the gold in his mouth. Like this guy looks like a freak. So I said it as a joke for my entrance music. I go, I'm gonna watch, and Stitches is gonna rap me out to brick in your face. And then Coker's like, okay, great, cool. And I couldn't believe it. Like, there's no way Dana White would allow anything like that, ever. So it's like, really? Maybe he just doesn't. And once he looks it up and sees who this guy is, there's no way he's gonna allow that. And sure enough, he didn't allow it. And my buddy Scully gets Stitches on the phone, we make a deal, and I come out to Brick in Your Face by Stitches, and Tito comes out to a bunch of little kids pledge allegiance to the flag. People are like, that's like pro wrestling. Really? Really genius. Yeah. It sells.
So what happened with Bellator? Because I heard that you had a multi-fight contract and you were just telling us that they were offering other jobs for you.
Cause I moved the needle like a motherfucker. I sold that fight. His fight before, like 336,000 people tuned in to his fight with Shlemenko. That's nothing, right? And then they put us on a Saturday, which it's harder to get a higher Nielsen rating on a Saturday. Head to head with the UFC, and we have like, I can't remember the exact numbers, but over 2 million people tuned in. Most watched fight of 2014, and. You know, I thought for sure they would hold up their end of the bargain, and they didn't. They didn't, you know? I don't hear from them, and then I get a call, they want me to fight. It's like, fuck you. Dude, I moved the needle for you like I said I would, you know? You're not gonna really, you're gonna act like what, nothing happened? Like you didn't tell me all that shit in there? Like, come on.